It's April 20th, 2022. Well, I'll get into a few issues today. I know a lot's happening on in the situation in Ukraine, and I've been covering that quite a bit. Russia's big offensive apparently is finally kicked off, like I've discussed about a week ago in one of my videos. I'm going to wait a little while to get into detail and get a little bit better definition of what's happening. So today I want to kind of get into some other issues that have showed up. I mean, we had a major decision recently on the COVID situation by a judge ruling against the government's right to impose mask mandates on all transportation. Which apparently would give some cheers to somebody, but right now the administration is reconsidering whether they want to go back and challenge that in court. And we'll have to wait and see what they decide to do on that. Politically, they'd be probably better off not challenging it. But there is a point, though, and that is it could set a precedent that they may not want to have. And that's beyond just our normal not particularly liking Biden. The fact is, though, what if it was something a lot more dangerous than the current COVID Omicron variant BA2? What if it was actually some truly lethal disease? And they rule that they don't have the right to make such a deal. The problem we have a lot with this is the fact that the administration, have used powers that should be reserved for the most dire emergencies and are using them for things that are not the most dire emergencies. And then that leads to a general reaction to, well, you just can't do that, period. And but at any rate, that's kind of what the courts will have to wrestle with. Most people are just happy that the thing would end, I think, at this point. So anyway, if you like these videos, please give me a like, subscribe, and, you can ring the bell for notifications. And, of course, comments are appreciated. Yeah, so that's kind of what's happened here. Part of what's going on to discuss the COVID situation has gone to a fairly low level. On one day, using the Johns Hopkins data, the 7-day average actually reached around 27,000 new cases or positive tests, I guess you'd say, in a given day, and now it's up to around 36. But it was coming down from the mid-30s for weeks before that, so it's hard to know, little fluctuations in the rate. I don't think that's a major outbreak. I guess there's some localized events that are maybe a little bit more significant. And that, of course, causes these people who want to seize power to overreact to it. There's been no evidence the masks themselves are that effective anyhow. Perhaps properly worn N95 masks might do some good, but the way they're done casually by the general public probably aren't that good, and most people are not using an N95 mask either. So in reality, the masks have been more of a symbol than an actual health preventative measure. And so getting rid of the mandates is probably a good idea. But anyhow, we'll have to see what the court system does with that, and I guess what happens with this ongoing COVID situation here. But the main thing we're also looking at is our situation on illegal immigration. The decision to try to remove Title 42, which using the COVID as an excuse, however, on the other hand, to not let illegal immigrants in, as if we need such an excuse. I mean, this shows how jumbled up the laws and various court decisions are to get to that point. It should be sufficient that if you're illegal, you don't get in. You get deported if you're found, right? I mean, that would seem to be the approach that would be taken. But apparently, this thing has become so weakened and jumbled that we now need to have this particular measure. What's interesting is that within the Congress, on the Senate side, increasingly numbers of senators are supporting a motion, I think, basically, I suspect it will probably be an amendment to basically maintain the COVID, a Title 42 restriction. And I think it's reached the point now to where you could actually put amendment into a, quote, must-pass bill, unquote. And one of those is available, and that is this extra funding for COVID relief, which I think this is mostly to pay for vaccines and things of that sort, and probably also to pay for hospital expenses. for those that are treated. And by the way, the deaths have fallen down into the 400s per day, which of course are probably mostly from people who were infected weeks ago and have been under long-term treatment since then. This has always been a real problem because you have a disease that for most people is not that severe, but for some people is downright lethal. The variability of the way it affects different people has just become one of the problems, I think, in how you develop a policy to deal with it. For instance, I have a neighbor who was in the hospital for 6 weeks that came down with it, for instance. And then other people get it, and they don't have any symptoms at all, or they have minor symptoms for a couple of 3 days, and it's over with. And with that wild variability, with many people that are somewhere in the middle, it's just to have an effective public policy on the thing when you have politicians also try to use it to seize power and score political points. It's just a mess. At any rate, we'll have to see how that all shakes out. But with the illegal immigration, getting back to the main point here, I think we've already had over 1.2 million detected illegal immigrants have been allowed into the country by our very criminal administration here in the fiscal year, which starts October the 1st of last year. So that's the baseline. So for the year is over, we're going to be obviously well over 2 billion. And then we've got the people that run away because they're probably criminals or people that would definitely wouldn't be accepted even by Biden's rules. And then you have they've detected already of the people they've processed something like over 20 known terrorists. And who knows how the smart terrorists presumably wouldn't turn themselves in; they'd be in the people that got away. So this is clearly a security problem, and it's certainly a problem for the overall system. My big question still is where are all these people going, and how are they living, and what are they doing? I mean, on the one hand, we seem to have a lot of jobs that are available that are not being filled, and I'm not sure to what degree these people would even be qualified for most of the jobs, because a lot of them are in the service industries like restaurants and hospitality, and if you can't speak English, it's going to be kind of hard to be an effective waiter at a restaurant, or a clerk at a fast food. I mean, so a lot of these people really wouldn't be suitable for a lot of the employment that we really need. Obviously, there are jobs in agriculture and lawn services and things of that sort, maybe roofing or whatever, where they could be utilized, but and probably are being. However, a lot of other illegal immigrants that have been here for some time already have those jobs, and I think that may be what's causing a little bit of stress in the Latino community. Is that you have, on the one hand, these people are actually coming in and threatening their jobs that they have. I mean, what neighborhood are they coming to? They're probably not coming to my neighborhood, and they're probably not coming to many other people's. But there are people out there, the Latino community. That's probably where they are going to. A lot of them. Of course, there are people from all over the world. I mean, there are probably people now. There's probably people from Ukraine that are coming in, and they probably have a reasonable refugee issue. So that's the country's being invaded. But most of these other people are simply economic immigrants, and this criminal. See, to me, the Biden is clearly committing impeachable offenses in what he's doing, and yet impeachment is kind of a limp option, because you can impeach all you want, and what does it do? Unless you have 67 senators that are willing to vote to convict, it really doesn't change anything. And we're down to the position that I've often said that a president with a willing, with 34 senators, at least it'll back him up no matter what, a bureaucracy and a cabinet that will follow him no matter where he goes, it's nearly a dictator, really. And that's the problem we're faced with here. This guy's in for another 3 years and 10 months or something like 9 months. Excuse me, 2 years and 9 months. Let me get that right. Sorry about that. And he's going to be doing whatever he wants to in that time period. He's already ignored court orders in many instances, and I don't understand why the courts aren't taking some sanctions. For example, since in general most of these immigration things are actually, ultimately, although the direction and the political support comes from the president, in reality they're being carried out by lower officials, and those people could be drug into court and fined, or even sent to jail. I would suggest fines probably be the best approach, for not obeying the court order to do certain things. But it seems like there's been no follow-up when we won these court decisions. So it is in the illegal immigration world. And so at any rate, that's kind of the situation for now. It doesn't seem like there's much relief in sight. However, it is possible if these Democrat senators worried about their reelection, either in the upcoming fall or the one in 2024, because some of them are getting in this too, actually add an amendment to the COVID bill that might actually put some legal restrictions on this subject. However, I mean, will he obey it? That's another issue. I don't know how far he will take things, and if enough members of his own party start opposing him, that might change the situation, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And so that's kind of it on that subject. Like I said, on the situation in Ukraine, the new offensive just pretty much kicked off a couple of days ago. It's a little early to see what it really is. I'll probably have some more comments in the upcoming video on the subject. It's possible this is truly a major offensive, or like I said in the video I did a week ago or so, or they could just be trying to improve their position for a long-term defensive. I'm tending toward thinking it is a major offensive, but we'll have to wait and see on that. And also, my handle on my various social media accounts are in the description below. So if you want to follow me there, you get updates, particularly on Twitter there. I have recently got on to Truth after weeks of waiting. But however, it's only, you can't apparently access it through computer. And I usually post through the computer. I'm not a big, I can do it on my iPad, but oh well. But at any rate, until next time, we'll keep you updated.